Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the lives. So this is actually the first live of March. I almost forgot what month it was. I still feel like I'm kind of in this haze of the months and the days and the weeks and all of that stuff. If you guys have not joined a live before, I will give it some time just to let people kind of join the room and see who comes in. As you enter the room, please make sure to tell me who you are, where you're from. I always like to know where people are from. And hopefully we get a pretty decent group of people here. If you do not know what the live is about, it is about identifying toxic relationships. So if you are an individual who's on the live right now, and you feel like this is something that you identify with, I empathize with you because I know how incredibly difficult that situation can be. But I wanted to give you guys some tips, some recommendations, some things to look out for if you feel like you are in a toxic relationship. So that being said, if you don't know who I am, my name is Coach Danny, and I'm one of the head coaches here at the With My Ex Again project, and I'm also one of the head coaches for the Happily Committed project. I usually try to do these lives like once every week. Usually they are on Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if this is your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. And again, I'll just give it some time. If you don't mind letting me know who you are, where you're from, put it in the chat box so I can interact with you guys. Hello, Nan, how's it going? From Romania, that's amazing. All right. Da, da, da. Do, 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 do. So again, I usually give it about a minute or two before I actually start and jump right into the subject, which again is identifying toxic relationships. If you are just joining, please make sure you give a quick hello, tell me where you're from, your name, if this is your first time watching a live, if you've been here before. I obviously like to interact as much as I possibly can. These are not pre-recorded, these are actually live. So let's see, Manos from Greece, how's it going? I just got dumped, I'm devastated. I'm so sorry to hear that, my man. I know how incredibly difficult that can be. And obviously, if it's something that just recently happened, the emotional processing and the mental processing is quite difficult. I totally understand. But when I tell you that allowing yourself some time and some space to really kind of spend time with yourself and evaluate and analyze and take a look at the situation objectively, it will help you in the long run. Let's see, we have two people from Greece. Hello, Karina from Huntington Beach. You are my neighbor. I'm not too far from Huntington Beach. Let's see, another person from Greece. That's amazing. Effie. Charmy from India. Hello. Rhode Island. Brandon, what's going on? Pia from Italy. Hello. Noah from Missouri, how's it going? Calvin from Florida. Ecuador. Okay, so just to be clear, guys, obviously with these lives, I usually go over the subject itself. If you have any questions about your particular or specific situation, I usually leave that to the very end to answer some of those questions. However, I have changed the structure of the lives a little bit. So usually for the first half of the month, I pick very specific topics, especially topics that are asked through my DMs, emails, YouTube comments, all of that stuff, the most popular ones that come up the most frequently. And then for the last half of the month, I do two lives, one for basically 2 weeks worth of lives. I do question and answers. So it's an entire live that's dedicated to question and answer. So any questions that you may have about your situation, I try my best to answer as many of those as I possibly can. I will reserve a little bit of time at the end of this live to try to answer some questions, but keep in mind the question and answer lives are usually towards the end of the month. Let's see, we have the Maldives here, we have Dubai, we have Ghana. That is amazing. I think I was in a toxic relationship, but I said goodbye in a nice way. Hey, you know, if you identify that you're in a toxic relationship and you were able to walk away from it and walk away from it amicably, I commend you. All right, guys. So let's jump right into it, shall we? So, identifying a toxic relationship. Do you feel like you are in a toxic relationship? Are you not 100% sure if you are in a toxic relationship? And the reality of the situation is that when we are in it, right, when we are having the subjective experience, it can be really difficult to step outside and realize that we may actually be in a toxic relationship. There are things that might kind of, you know, alarm us. There's little red flags that go up. But oftentimes we have a tendency of ignoring those things, right? If we are have invested so much of ourselves into the relationship. So I wanted to provide you guys with some key things to be on the lookout for, some things to identify whether it is possible you are in a toxic relationship or not. Now, let me be very clear. Toxic relationships range, right? So it also depends on the level of toxicity. It depends on the relationship dynamic itself. It depends on really you and how you interact within the relationship and all those types of things, right? Because for some people, they may or you may identify toxicity as an argument gone bad. But that's not necessarily what we mean by toxicity here. Toxicity in a relationship is when it starts to impact your mental and emotional, spiritual, physical health in a negative way because you start to lose yourself within the relationship because the partner that you are with is not being supportive, is purposely trying to hurt you to some capacity, or they are hurting you in a subconscious way. However, the patterns and the behavior is not changing, even if you ask them to change it. So, what is one of the first things to look for when you think that you are in a toxic relationship? Number one is you do not feel comfortable sharing your thoughts or your feelings or anything like that because you are afraid or you're concerned that there will be some kind of repercussion. There will be some sort of retaliation. It will lead to an argument. They will not hear you out. And what actually ends up happening is that they get on the defensive immediately and attack you for anything that you want to say, right? If that is the case, if you are in a situation where you feel like your partner is not taking the time to hear you, to understand you, to really try to resolve conflict or issues, and they're making it about themselves the entire time and making you feel like you are actually crazy or you're wrong, which is called gaslighting, right? That's something to be consciously aware of. In a healthy relationship, you should be able to share your thoughts and your feelings comfortably. You should be able to resolve conflict with your partner. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be difficult, right? That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be times where you don't see eye to eye, but it's about how you navigate and manage those conversations. It's how you communicate with one another. It's the level of respect that you have for one another where you're able to sit down and say, hey, look, this is the issue. This is the situation. Can we talk about this? This is how I'm feeling. How are you feeling about it? Let's find some common ground here, right? If everything turns into you being wrong, you being the person that's at fault, and you finally get to a place emotionally and mentally where you just do not feel like sharing anymore because you feel like it always results in some kind of argument or you being wrong, or just it's emotionally and energetically taxing, that's one of the first things that you should be on the lookout for. The second thing is this tit for tat notion, right? And what I mean by that is if you were to do something within the relationship that affects your partner, right? So let's say, for example, you decide to go out with your friends and you don't invite your partner, which, might I add, is completely normal, right? Because it's okay to have a life outside of your relationship. Actually, it's incredibly healthy to do that. It's a healthy boundary within a relationship. You have your dynamic within the relationship, and then you have dynamics outside of your relationship with family, friends, coworkers, all of those things. So let's say, for example, you decide to go out with friends and you don't invite your partner because you just want it to be a girls' night out or guys' night out or whatever the case may be. And that really affects your partner in a negative way where there is a underlying sense of jealousy or anger or resentment or frustration, and they may not necessarily share that with you. And then they turn around a week later or a couple of weeks later and go out with their friends, but go crazy, right? Do something beyond what you would have expected them to do. And it's because they're wanting to get back at you or retaliate because of the way that you made them feel when you went out with your friends, even though the intention to go out with your friends was completely innocent. It's just you living your life and doing your thing. It can happen in daily activities, right? Your daily interactions with them. If you're constantly feeling like that person is trying to one up you or is trying to hurt you in some way because they feel like you hurt them, even though you're not really understanding what it is that you did wrong, and they're also not willing to hear you out or answer for you the reasons for why they feel the way that they do. That tit for tat dynamic, it comes from a place of deep rooted insecurity, right? From self-esteem issues, from lack of self-confidence. And it just basically manifests into these negative patterns of behavior within the relationship that result in you feeling less than, not understood, uncomfortable sharing, not really being able to live your life or do your thing outside of the relationship because you feel like whenever you do, you will be reprimanded for it, or there will be some kind of repercussion for those types of things. And the truth of the matter is that that should not be the case. So, that's again, that's the second thing that you should be looking out for. So just to clarify, the first two things that I talked about was, number one, you don't feel comfortable sharing your feelings and your thoughts with your partner. And the second one is this tit for tat type of dynamic. The third one, and this one's something to really be on the lookout for, guys. Usually when you are in a toxic dynamic, the other individual your partner is trying to establish some sense of control or dominance over the relationship, over you. If you already feel like you can't express yourself, if you already feel like you can't share things with your partner, if you already feel like you're not able to go out with friends or do these types of things without feeling like it's going to result in an argument, here's the third one. If they only truly show you affection, right, when you are hurt, when you are at your lowest point, when you finally have a breakdown and you say enough is enough, and you cry or you get angry or you show any kind of feeling, right, that would be taken as being hurt or in pain. And that is when they decide to show you affection. That is when they decide to support you. That is when they decide to be there for you. But the reason for why they are doing that is because they've already won. They've already taken control of the situation, and they've gotten you to a point emotionally where you basically have broken down. You're in a submissive state, and they are the dominant one in that situation. So they feel like there is no longer a threat. They feel like they have control over the situation, and therefore they are more willing to open up and be more vulnerable and share affection with you in those moments. That is an incredibly toxic cycle to be in. And if you are noticing that that is something that's happening within your relationship, really take note of that. And the last one is you just don't feel safe in the relationship. Now, that can be on a physical level, mental level, emotional level. You just do not feel like you're an equal. You feel like you are less than. When you are in a relationship with somebody, it should be a partnership. There should be teamwork. You should be supporting each other. You should be lifting each other up. Are there going to be periods of time where you argue, where you say things you may not necessarily mean? Absolutely. We're human. It happens. We get angry. We get frustrated. We get hurt. But it's how you handle that situation post argument. Is your partner taking accountability for their part? Are they sincerely apologizing? Are you sincerely apologizing? Vice versa. If the answer is no, and you are just not feeling like you can really trust your heart with this person, and believe me when I tell you, you know. You can try to ignore it as much as you want. You can try to deny it as much as you want, but there is this underlying feeling of not feeling stable, not feeling comfortable, not feeling safe in the relationship. Oftentimes people view a toxic relationship as something that is physically abusive, verbally abusive. And yes, that is indicative of a toxic relationship, but toxicity goes beyond that, right? It's not just about the physical or the verbal abuse. It's about mental abuse, right? And how you feel about yourself within the relationship. And is your partner supporting you in that relationship, or are they trying to break you down? Are they trying to make you feel less than? Are they trying to make you feel more insecure and damage your self-confidence and your self-esteem so that they feel more reassured about themselves and they feel better about themselves and they feel like they have more control within the relationship? So it's very layered, right? And these are just obviously some of the few things that you should really be taking a look at if you are feeling like you are in a toxic relationship. So again, just to reiterate and just to go over the 4 things to be on the lookout for when it comes to identifying a toxic relationship. The first one is not feeling comfortable sharing your feelings or your thoughts, right? Because you feel like it's going to end up in argument. The second one is the tit for tat dynamic, where they are always trying to one up you or level up or make you feel worse than you made them feel. The third one, again, is only showing affection when you're at your lowest point, when you've finally broken down. And the last one is you just don't feel safe in the relationship. You do not feel like an equal within that relationship. That being said, I want to give some time, just a small amount of time, to kind of go over some questions here and see what you guys have to say. Again, usually the way that I structure these lives now is that the question and answer lives, 2 of them towards the end of the month, so the last 2 weeks of the month, are usually when I do the question and answers, but I do want to take a minute to answer some questions here. So give me just a minute, guys. I'm going to scroll through the comments. What I'm also going to do for you guys is I'm going to provide you guys with my coaching email. Because if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. If you have any questions about booking, if you want to know, what packages I offer or just who I am, what I do, you can reach out to me there. Believe me when I tell you guys, and I'm not saying this because I'm trying to sell something to you guys, right? Because that's just not my personality. That's not who I am. But the truth is, one-on-one coaching can change your life. It can change the direction of where you are right now. And so many times people feel stuck in their situation, and you research and you research and you research and you feel like you're able to, piece the puzzle together, but something is always missing. That one-on-one coaching session can change your perspective, can change the way you view the situation, can change the trajectory of your current situation completely, because there may have been something that you were missing that you were just not getting. And obviously, as relationship coaches, this is something that we do on a daily basis. I work with clients every single day. I've seen these situations day in and day out, and I know what works for people and I know what does not work for people. So if you feel like you just need more help, you need more support, I urge you and I highly recommend to book a one-on-one coaching session. I'm going to actually put a link right here. Sorry guys, give me 1 sec. This is live, obviously, so anything that I'm currently doing is being recorded. So I'm gonna put the link right here in the comment box for the coaching. It gives you the options of which sessions you want to book. So it's really just whatever you feel like you guys need. But again, I'm gonna put that in here a few times so you guys have it. Okay, so let me go to some questions here. Hello, it's my first time watching it live. Finally made it, never made it. So excited. I am excited to have you here. Welcome to your first live. I'm going to slaughter this. I'm so sorry. I'm horrible with name, guys. Forgive me. Les Chiffre. Ooh, I feel like I slaughtered that, but I'm going to go with it anyways. Anupam from India. I just got dumped. My girlfriend of 6 years just dumped me. What do I do? First and foremost, I am so sorry. I empathize with you. I know how difficult that situation is, but the reality is I would need to have more context. I would need to have more information about the situation in order for me to give you a solid recommendation. And for me, my recommendation would be a one-on-one coaching session because it really allows us to sit down and go through the particulars and the details of your situation so that we can really break it down. Let's see, Yesenia, what should I do if the partner continues fighting with you and blaming, ignoring your messages? So that is something that is very difficult to deal with. And I completely understand how hard it can be to be in that situation. The first thing that I would tell you to do is to just disengage. Don't engage, because the more you engage and the more you try to involve yourself in that conversation, the more you try to prove your point, the worse it's going to get. You know, the more defensive they're going to get, the more they're going to try to prove their point, the more it's going to, you know, involve the ego, and you're just going to go at it and at it and at it and at it. So my recommendation at this point is to leave it be, because if they're ignoring your messages, that means that they are not prioritizing how you are feeling or what it is that you need or what it is you are trying to communicate. So why are you wasting your time prioritizing them and trying to get your point across when they don't even care to listen to it, and all they want to do is to prove their point? Diffuse the situation, disengage from it, and just for my recommendation, obviously depending on your situation, I'm not 100% sure what the dynamic is here. I don't know if this is an ex, I don't know if this is a current partner, I don't know if this is, I don't know what it is completely, but I would say go into a period of just not speaking for a little bit, just to kind of let tensions settle. Nina from Brussels, hello, so nice to meet you. One of my best friends actually lived in Brussels for quite some time. I never made it out there. I wish I had, but maybe one day. Let's see. Let's see. MN Mendoza. What if you're, I'm not sure what you mean here, but you said narc blocks you, but keep writing in a group like with friends, but sometimes ignores you there too. What does he want? That just sounds to me like an individual who is not exactly sure of what they want in general. You know, one of the things that I tell people all the time in my one-on-one coaching sessions is, how can you expect your partner or somebody to know you if you don't even know yourself? So if they do not have the ability to communicate with you effectively, if they cannot have a productive conversation with you, if they cannot be mature enough to sit down and say, hey, this is what's wrong with me, these are the reasons for why I'm not speaking to you, these are my needs, these are my expectations, just like I recommended for the last one, just disengage, leave it be, don't even mess with it, right? Don't invest time and energy into trying to understand what somebody is thinking if they are not willing to share with you what they are thinking. It's a trap. Just don't do it. Let's see. Do you believe that toxic relationships first cause problems in our body? I'm not 100% sure what you mean here, Manos, but what I will say to you is being in a toxic relationship and being around negative energy frequently and consistently will definitely manifest into some kind of physiological response within you. So whether that means you start to become more anxious, you start to get more stressed, you start to have panic attacks, you start sleeping less, you don't have as much of an appetite, all of those types of things absolutely can be a side effect of being in a toxic relationship. Jake Thornton, can you discuss dating and breakups with an ex who has mental illness and future videos? Not a lot of information online around this topic. Absolutely. Thank you for your suggestion. It's something that I would definitely touch upon. I've actually touched upon this before in some of my YouTube videos. So just if you go to the Happily Committed website or the With My Ex Again website, there's been a few videos that I've recorded about being in relationships with or dealing with breakups with individuals who have anxiety or depression. Let's see here. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to randomly scroll and pick a question. Let's see. Da, da, da. Let's see. Oh, Brandon, that's very nice. Honestly, Danny, thank you so much for this live. My ex called me after 3 months, no contact to pick up, and I wasn't sure how to go about it. And after this live, I realized that I shouldn't go back in. Thanks, you. You're very welcome, my man. I'm glad that you came to that realization on your own. That is all you. So give yourself the kudos and the credit for that. Let's take a look. Christina Darlington, I'm sorry that you did not get anything from the live. That happens every once in a while. That is okay. You know, sometimes these things are not for everybody. So if you do not agree, totally fine. Let's see. I'm going to take one more question here. Let's see. I'm not seeing too many questions, actually. I'm seeing a lot of comments. Okay, so the last one. And can an ex be toxic after the breakup, and how to get back together? So yes, an ex can be toxic after a breakup. It really just kind of depends on how they interact with you and the dynamic post breakup. So if they're trying to make you feel bad about the situation, if they're not taking accountability for their part in the breakup, the relationship, if they're basically telling you it's completely your fault that you guys broke up and all of those things, then absolutely that is toxic behavior, right? Because they can still gaslight you and they can still make you feel like what you have to say doesn't really count, or you know, it's just what you're thinking about how the entire breakup went. You made up in your head, and it's not the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation was this, right? And if that is the situation, and if your ex is making you feel guilty or bad about the breakup, then it's something that I would really take into consideration. I would take a step back. And I would just kind of allow them to go through their process, and not engage until they're willing to come to the table and have a mature adult conversation about the situation and how the two of you would like to move forward. All right, guys, that is all the time that I have today. It's always a pleasure being on these lives with you guys. I love to interact with every one of you guys. So amazed that there are so many people that come out of these lives from so many different places around the world. Like I said, I attached my email into the comments. I also attached the link for the coaching sessions. Let me put my email one more time for you guys. And if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me there, and just be on the lookout for the next live next Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll see you guys then. Bye. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday.